Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the jungle. Had to try and find a place out here in the shade where I could get a decent screen without it being all washed out. Let's see if I can see. It says I got a few people in here. Where is everybody this morning? As you can see, I'm in the jungle. Just finishing up a little coffee here. Got a beautiful day here this morning. About 72 degrees right now, heading towards a high of 75. All right, don't be shy. I'm not seeing anyone chime in. I don't know if I've got everything. There we go. Hey, Yuri Corrales, happy to see you too. Aloha. Aloha, everybody. Beautiful day. Hope you're all having a beautiful day. See how far we reach today around the world. Hope I don't get attacked by the chickens. They've been over here being very, very curious about what's going on this morning. Thank you, Shannon. Aloha. Yeah, I feel way better. Way better. I wouldn't say 100%, but I'm getting very, very close. Can you see me okay and hear me okay out there? Looks like I've got everything up and running good. It always takes me a minute to make sure I've got everything turned on. Very good. Hey, love right back to you out there in South Africa. Perfect. That's a long reach. What time is it out there in South Africa? Or what day is it? I don't even know. $10 p.m. Okay, so 12 hours later. Hey, the tech man. Hey, I've learned a lot from all of you guys. So much. I've learned a lot from all of you guys. Hey, Dave. Welcome everybody this morning. Just have a little chit chat. We can talk about anything you guys want to. Bad solar day in Southwest Ontario. That's pretty far north. And I've learned so much from all of you guys. I mean, every time I make a little mistake, someone comes in, points it out to me, and that's a great help. Loud and clear. All right, James. Welcome. Another one way up there in the north, Canada. Hey, JD. $4 p.m. in Slidell. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I tried to pick a time that, I can look on the graph or the analytics for the channel, and it shows like when most of the people that watch this channel are on, on YouTube and stuff. It kind of gives you a generality of when's the best time. So West Coast of Ireland, JD. Wow, that's a long time. Happy Easter to you too, Donna. Happy Easter to everybody. Yeah. Everyone having a good day. Ah, it's good to see. There's a bunch of you popping up in here this morning. Very good. This is different doing live. Usually I'm wandering around with the camera in front of me trying to think of exactly what I want to say. And as you know that have been watching me, I get tongue-tied a little bit making those videos, but I sure have a lot of fun with you guys doing that. Learning a lot. And I've got a couple of projects coming up that's really going to stretch me quite a bit. Some new kind of components that are sitting here for a review that I'm trying to make sure I know exactly what I do before I post it up. James, no, I'm not on Starlink. I've looked into that before, I think, and it does work well as far as I understand out here for everybody. But where I'm at, many years ago, I want to say, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, they ran a fiber optic out here up and down these roads as part of a what they called rural broadband initiative. It was an effort to get high-speed internet for people living in rural areas, and we fell into that, and I couldn't believe it. One day I was driving down the road coming home, and I saw a company stringing the wire up and down these roads, and I pulled over immediately to ask them, what are you guys running up and down these roads? And they said high-speed internet, and I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And I was thrilled. And they said, you better get on the waiting list because everyone's going to want it, out here. And they said it'll take months to get it out here. And they were right. So I got quickly on the waiting list. And, about, I don't know, 4 to 6 months later, they came out here and hooked me up. And so I have great internet out here, which didn't used to be the case. I used to have to use a mobile broadband receiver up on my roof, and it was spotty at best. I mean, it did okay, but it was very, very expensive as well. So yeah, we just got caught in that rural, I think it was called the Rural Broadband Initiative, to where they started stringing fiber optic up and down these roads. So that really changed things for a lot of people out here, including myself. Yeah, it worked really great. It works really great. I mean, I'm being able to stream here live with you guys, and I couldn't do that years ago. I've been asked that question a few times, like, what do we do? How do we get internet out here? And now, it's available out here. The good stuff too, fiber optic. All right, so is everybody on solar out there? Getting on solar? Hey, IMG. Aloha. I haven't forgot about you, showing you that one test on that little teeny battery you were interested in, and like how it could run some coffee. I'm going to do that. I've got that in an upcoming video, because you were looking for something real small in a tight compartment, and that battery does good. Yeah, them chickens, they're running around. You're going to see them behind me. They're going to come up here and pester me some. They're doing good. Yeah, James, I think there is some incentives. I see it advertised all the time out here. Hawaii is really trying to go solar as much as possible. So there are some incentives for people to go solar and do grid tied solar, so they can feed their excess back into the system. I forget what percentage now. Hawaii's got a very large percentage of their power being supplied by solar, which is a great thing, because It used to be the majority of the power that was being supplied out here was from diesel generators back in the old days, but now everywhere you go, rooftops are lined with solar. It's a great thing to see that changing over. Hey, aloha, Joe from Ohio. I enjoy all of you guys too. You know that the people that are tied up to the grid out here, uh, in some of the rural areas, they do have grid going up and down the roads, uh, and I hear that the power goes out a lot for them as well. Well, that's cool. Your van's got up to 3 kilowatts. That's nice. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to that little teeny real small battery. I mean, they're only about that big. I forget what the name of it was on that one review, but I am gonna go back. I was thinking about you the other day saying you wanted to see how that was holding up, and I'm gonna work it out some, and because I like that small form factor as well. Yeah, I love my chins. Chins were the very first batteries that I ever bought, lithium iron phosphate. Yeah, I'm just getting ready to start planting some vegetables. I used to plant quite a few out here, and now that it's springtime, it's a good time to get my starts going. So I am gonna really crank up some vegetables this season for sure. You know, Dennis, I think you could run your office with 200 amp hour battery easily. You know, I was depending on what you're running, of course, but for most office equipment and stuff, I think you'd be fine. I've got one of my systems is running a 200 amp hour battery right now. I have it tied into a freezer that runs 24/7. Uh, and it does absolutely fantastic. And I could run a lot more on it besides that, but that's all it's running at the moment. But yeah, 200 amp hours, depending, you know, how much solar you've got tied into it, you know, it'd probably be absolutely fine, you know, no matter, you know, if you're drawing it down, see what you're drawing it down to, but you can charge that lithium up so fast with a lot of panels that you could probably, depending on where you live, replenish your power pretty good. So Tom Fiala, he says he has two AGM 200 amp hour batteries with 800 watts of solar in St. Louis, Missouri, mostly for backup and power outages. Yeah, a lot of people are starting to build these smaller systems just so when their power goes out, which it does in a lot of areas, that they do have backup to run what they want. Of course, out here, you know, my backup is solar to the solar. So I 100% live on solar. And I was going to tell you guys, all winter long, I have got by on 5 batteries, and I've not run out of power one time the entire winter when the sun was at its lowest point and some pretty dark days. Never fired up the generator one time, and 5 batteries ran this entire place nonstop. So I was going to make a video about that too, just showing that, you know, it doesn't take a ton of lithium, but one of the things that I don't have to do is I don't have to supplement any kind of heat or cooling out here. I'm in a pretty good climate. So it would be different if I was having to run an air conditioner or a heater. But because of those two things not having to be run out here, I got by on 5 batteries all winter long. And now the sun's up high enough, it's getting over these trees quite a bit earlier in the day, and it's just surplus city with power right now. I'm the same way with you, G. I don't want anything to do with the grid. Uh-uh. I have a fairly nearby neighbor that says, and he is tied up to the grid, and And he says it goes down all the time, always right in the middle of his favorite TV show. So Ohio Woodburner asked me if I had to choose, would I add batteries or panels? In my case, it would be panels. I mean, uh, and that's what I have done over the past few years is I've added panels. If I was falling just a little short, because those lithium batteries, like a 200 amp hour, if I'm, if I'm drawing that down to 20%, say, but I'm just not charging it up fully again, and due to the conditions, that's I've just added panels to keep the batteries working in that 80 to 20% range in general. And I'm not even getting them down near 20% right now. They're kind of fluctuating between about 50 and 80% day in and day out. So I think I've got my panel arrays for this condition here, where we get a lot of real cloudy, dark days and can get a stretch of a week or so like that. So I'd have to sit down, Dan, and look and add up all my watt hours total. I don't have that at the top of my head. I can tell you I've got a 600 amp hour bank, which is those two chins tied together, two 300 amp hour chins in parallel. I've got one 48-volt system with a 90 amp hour bank or battery, and one 200 and two 200 different banks. And that's all I've done. And I've got the house divided into zones. Each one of those systems kind of runs the zone of the house. And I've done fantastic. Well, running the washing machine, they draw a good bit of power, but they don't draw it for that long. So, um, and some of my higher, uh, demanded, or what do I want to say? Some of my higher draws on my systems, they're just for short periods of time. A coffee maker draws a lot of power, but it's only on for a few minutes, and then the sun comes right back and replenishes anything that I took out of those batteries. But I don't actually, James, know exactly, like after running the washing machine, how much it's been drawn down. I typically do that kind of stuff when the systems are just cranking with power coming in, so I'm not really tapping the batteries too hard. And that's the other thing you do on if you're living 100% off grid is you draw your higher wattage stuff usually when you just get into a rhythm of drawing it when you're cranking a lot of solar in there, so you won't be short overnight. uh, yeah, and just like IMG says, if the battery's not charged by sundown, add panels, and that's the good rule of thumb. Yeah. And if it's full before sundown, add batteries. So yeah, that's a good kind of formula right there. Tomcat asks, "What's my favorite battery?" Um, I don't know that I actually have an absolute favorite. They every one of them that I've got tied up. I've got right now. I've got some time USBs. They work perfect. I've got a Red Odo. Works perfect. I've got a Power Queen and the chins. So I've got all of them. Thank you, IMG. Very generous. And right back to you, Ohio Woodburner. Very generous of you guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, what do we got? Yeah, we got 37 people in here. That's pretty good for coming out to the jungle today. But yeah, getting back to my favorite, I get asked that. In fact, I got asked that early this morning on a comment. Someone was asking me, what's my absolute favorite battery? And I just can't say that one of them outshines any of the others. Every one of those that I just mentioned, they all work absolutely perfectly, living up to their specifications. I've had the chins the longest. In fact, next month, I think, is the 3rd-year anniversary on the chins, and they're just doing great. But all the others are not far behind that. They've all got at least a couple of years on them now, and they're all working absolutely perfectly. And now, a lot of those batteries that I just mentioned, they've all been around long enough to, that they're starting to build up a pretty good name brand. I mean, we know that chins are great. We've watched lots of people tear these things apart. I'm not a real good tear down kind of a guy, but I watch the other guys tear them down and make sure that they all live up to their specifications, and they all are. You know, there's just tons of new ones coming out every day. I get offers to review uh, batteries every week of brands I've never even heard of before. And then when I tell them I'm in Hawaii, most of them shy away overwhelmingly uh, of the new batteries coming online now. Most of them, don't want to ship to Hawaii. So uh, probably 90% of the batteries I get offered, once they find out I'm in Hawaii, they go, "Oh yeah, we don't want to send to Hawaii." So they don't have it fit into their advertising budget or whatever. They don't want to pay the shipping. But the ones that have been around a long time and have a really good established name, they don't have a problem shipping to Hawaii. Yeah. Hey, I would, and I've tried, and I've pointed them in the right direction to other people. It's like, hey, send them to this guy or that guy, because and some of them change their mind after a while. They're going, "Oh, we've changed our mind. We'll go ahead and ship it out to Hawaii," because you've seen some like off-name brands come out here now and then, but uh, not a week goes by that some new off brand isn't saying, "Oh, we watched your channel. We really want to get a review on your channel." I'm like, "Yeah, send it on out. I'll take a peek at it." And they're like, "Send your address, send the address." And they're like, "Oh, Hawaii, where is that?" Because they're all coming from China. And, you know, amazingly, a lot of people are just like, they're like, "We don't even know how to send to Hawaii." I'm like, "Yeah, UPS." UPS brings it right on out here. JD says he's using a 200 amp hour eco worthy in his motorhome and really impressed with it. JD, I've been impressed with every battery I've been sent, whether it's a name brand or not. They're all doing quite well. I've only seen one or two sent my way that maybe the build quality was a little, not up to kind of the standards that we're expecting right now, but most of them are looking pretty good. They really are. And the beautiful thing is that the price is just coming way down on lithium. I mean, now it's not uncommon to see under $200 for a 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. And, a few years ago, that was not the case. They were a little spendy. Yeah, I really enjoy all of you so much. I really do. I mean, I love seeing your comments after I post a video, and I love how I get quickly pointed in the right direction if I've made a mistake or overlooked something. I love that thing too, because a lot of times I'm like, "Wow, I forgot that. How could I have forgot that?" And you guys always point it out to me. So keeping me on my toes, which is good. So here's the thing, Ohio wood burner, on that question. Will I ever try uh, an all-in-one unit like EG4 Grow Watt MPP? I have an all-in-one unit sitting here right now, and it's been sitting here for a few weeks. And I just wasn't up to doing the test in the past month of that nature. And but I have one. Yeah, I've got one, and it's coming up in a review, and I hope to get that out in about the next week because I'm really behind on a couple of reviews of while I wasn't up to snuff in the past month, uh, you know, the boxes were just sitting here, and I've got a few reviews to catch up on, and one of them is my very first 48-volt all-in-one unit, and I'm gonna have to tie that into the one 48-volt battery that I have. And so I'm going to have to either disconnect my current one, but I was talking with a friend of mine and I might run it out to his place and we might tie it up into his system because he's got quite a system that would really give it a good test. So yeah. And I just have that one server rack battery, and that's that Power Queen 90 amp hour 48-volt battery, and it works fantastic. I mean, that thing, I it's running my refrigerator 24/7 right now, and you know, at the end of the night, it's still 80-90% full. So it's not even taking 10% of that power on a daily basis, really, to run a 20 cubic foot refrigerator. But that's the only one that I've got that's like a server rack. Um, Thank you, Yuri Corrales. Very generous of you guys. That's super sweet. And you guys, I learn as much from you guys and I'm glad that I can help you guys as well. And I never know when I make a video, I get an idea of like, oh, this would be a good video. And I just never know like what information in any given video might resonate with somebody out there. And you go, oh. So that's always my hope, is that just something in one of those videos is of use to you guys and what you're doing out there on solar. Yeah, no, James, I haven't gone all electric. I still use propane for hot water heat and for cooking. Uh, I have ever since that new wave induction video. I mean, it really planted the seed into me that it's time to get off of the propane completely. Um, I just haven't made that jump yet, but I'm not using much propane. I'm getting about 3 months of use on 8 gallons of propane, which is pretty good compared to what I used to be, because I used to run a propane refrigerator freezer and that sucked down 2 gallons a week. So I did switch over to all electric refrigeration and freezing, and that really cut the propane use way, way down. But yeah, I'm thinking about an all electric kitchen, but I'll probably have to boost the system up a little bit for that, but maybe not too much, really. Yeah, for me, that humidifier, USL, wasn't worth it for me in the end. It sucked a huge amount of power, huge amount of power. Now, I mean, in a super desperate water situation, it would have been worthy of keeping, just to make sure you could have, some water. But for the amount of power that it was a great dehumidifier, but man, that thing was power hungry, and it just sapped the energy out of my batteries for not all that much water. So Tomcat has, what's he say? He has two Pylon Tech 3.5 kilowatt batteries, and they work well with a Solus inverter and 3.3 kilowatt solar array. Nice. That sounds good. Yeah, Dave, I do use UV light as a final stage on my reverse osmosis system, pulling out of my main catchment tank. I do for drinking and cooking water. I don't for, of course, like the washing machine and, doing dishes. I don't worry about using that stage. Uh, and I added that UV light on after I installed the main reverse osmosis system, just as an added precaution. I mean, didn't think anything was ever getting past that reverse osmosis membrane at all. Um, but out here, that it was still recommended to go ahead and use UV as a final finishing touch. We do have a couple of pathogens that can be a problem out here, and everyone on catchment systems, which is basically everybody outside of town, has to catch and collect and hold on to their rainwater and use it for household use. And there's a couple of pathogens out here that we have to be aware of. It can't get through the RO membrane, none of those pathogens. But just as a little added insurance, I did stick the UV light on as a finishing stage, and I've never had a problem. Been doing that for years, and I drink my catchment and cook with it, and it's of course no problem. But yeah, there is a couple of little microscopic things, and I've looked around. The one thing is that there's a slug out here that now I haven't even seen those slugs for the longest time, so I don't know what's going on with them. But sometimes, and I never have ever saw one up in my catchment tank ever, so that's good. But I have heard of them being sometimes in people's catchment tanks, and I mean, I think you'd have to get a pretty good concentration of what they leave behind to cause you a problem. But um, you know, I don't take any of that lightly. So yeah, I keep my water system in good shape. And tons of people, Yuri, out here use the Berkey, gravity fed system. You just see that on a lot of countertops out here, where you can just pour your water in, your catchment water, pour it in there, and it comes out, really clean. Nothing's getting through those filters either. I like those. I like that system that I'm running now because it has a little pump on it, and I can make water much faster than I could on a gravity feed filtration system. So, I typically will fill up a 5-gallon jug of purified water, and I can do that in about 20 minutes, which, that would take much longer on the gravity fed systems. But those Berkeys they're really popular out here. I did get an offer from another company about one that's trying to compete with them, and it was quite a bit of a cheaper unit. I might take them up on that offer and do a review on that, because I am kind of curious, and I'm all about having a little more redundancy on some water filtration systems too, in case my RO system. I do have a backup RO system, of course, as well. Yeah, but yeah, water security is something that, take pretty seriously out here. And right now, I'm completely overflowing with water. I mean, we've got beautiful trade wind conditions going on right now, so we get fast moving showers. Both my catchment tanks have been just doing nothing but overflowing lately, and the solar is too. And so it's all really, really good, because just a few months ago I was crying for water, but we're getting plenty of water right now. Yeah, it's really great talking with all of you. Love hearing what you guys are running. The only thing about that UV light, on one system I had, it said that light should be replaced every now and then. The one that I'm running right now has a much smaller light, and it didn't say anything about when to replace it, but it still comes on at night. So I'm assuming it's doing its job. So yeah, I do over panel on my Victron 15 amp system USL. I've got currently I've got 400 uh, watts tied into that, and it does well. Uh, and I did that, and I'm going to probably take one of those panels off and just leave it with 300 watts because I can make use of another panel rather than that system gets up to full every single day. But I did do it when I first hooked that up. Sometimes 200 watts was not getting that particular system. I've got a 200 amp hour time USB tied into that battery. So I went ahead and overpaneled for that. Um, but with 400 watts of panels tied in, the most that will allow in is, the most I see is 206 watts. So, but on low light conditions, that makes the difference. When it's really cloudy and dark, it makes a huge difference having those 400 watts tied in, and I get up, to that. It can put 200 watts in there, but then on the real sunny condition, I'm basically wasting 2 panels. But I'm not sure, Tom. You understand my grid costs are 0.50 a kilowatt. If that's what it says, I really don't know. I know that Hawaii on the grid has, I believe it's the most expensive electricity in the country, or it always is near the top. It used to be the most expensive. It's up there still pretty high. It's pretty expensive. I know people that are on the grid out here, and they tell me what their electric bills are out here, and it's shocking. It really is. It's very expensive. So yeah, I don't want the grid. I'd rather do my own power. So it's not the light, G, huh? It's the UV liner. Yeah, on the what was the name of the system? My first one where I added that long UV light, it was about that long. They recommended replacing that bulb. Now, I mean, maybe they just recommend replacing it. I never did see that it went off. And I don't know of a liner that was in there. It just slipped into a tube. And then now the one I'm using now, the light's only about that big, so. Huh. So JD says the UV lamp is usually 9. I have to look with my glasses. The type is very small on my computer. 9,000 hours unless stated. Yeah, I'm not real sure about, the lifespan of a UV light. I'm really not. So, yeah, Chad, the reason I have overpaneled is because I do get really dark conditions out here, really dark. I mean, it can just not see the sun for weeks at a time. So I want to take advantage of those low light situations and get, as much juice as I can into my batteries. Where, like on a day like today, I mean, it's kind of washed out in the back, but it's very bright. I mean, I'm just, everything's up to full already. But when it's dark, 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 I want those extra panels taking advantage of the, what light I can get. So that's why I overpanel, and it got me through this winter. Like I said, I didn't fire up my generator not one time in the winter, and I think that's the first winter ever that I didn't have to at least fire it up for a few hours. But my systems have really grown over the past year or two. I haven't really run my generator at all for anything lately. And I never did find what's wrong with that panel yet. It was mentioned to me yesterday. It's probably a solder connection that maybe cracked or something. I'm going to have to look at them. I've had 3 now that have failed me in the past 3 years. So I'm going to have to put the magnifying glass on those and look and see if I can't find something. But I haven't delved into it too deep yet. Oh, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that about the UV light, JD, that after 9,000 uh, hours, it could stay lit for years. So see, maybe I've got one that's staying lit, but it's not working so great. I'll have to maybe replace one. And that's exactly right, G. And that's exactly why I overpanel. It's for not normal conditions. Exactly. You know, some of you guys that live in different parts of the country where, you know, when I was in Colorado, most days are sunny in Colorado, at least in the southern part of the state where I was at. I mean, absolutely, most days are very, very sunny. So I didn't really have to, I mean, over panel, except maybe when the sun was low on the horizon in the wintertime. But out here, these conditions can get really, really dark. Some of those systems that swoop over the island here, I mean, you won't see your shadow for a long time. 800 watts on a van. Wow. That's pretty good. So are you doing van life 100% of the time? I'm curious. I actually thought about that for a brief moment in my life. It does. I like the that kind of a freedom as well. But I'm kind of a homebody, so I like having one place to work out of. Oh, okay. Yeah. So how did I Ohio wood burners asking he how I turned up in Hawaii and how did I get started in solar and how old is my beard? The beard is 3 years old. Is what it's taken to grow it out. This or no, wait, I have to say 4 years now. 4 years since I just let it go wild. Um, so yeah, how did I end up in Hawaii? I got chased out of the Rocky Mountains due to cold and snow. I finally got tired of that. I was living at 8,300 feet approximately. Could get buried in snow for months at a time. When I was younger, I loved it and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world because no one could get up near me and it was super, super quiet. The older I got, it got a little harder and it was almost four-wheel drive up to my cabin on a good day. And let alone if there was feet of snow on the ground, then it was hiking in and hiking out and, you know, tobogganing supplies in uphill. And that was brutal. But like I said, when I was younger, I loved every minute of it. But it got to where, especially the last few winters that I was up there, it got to be quite a chore to keep things going. And so I always knew that if I couldn't stay in the mountains, which I actually thought at that time I'd stay in the mountains forever, I always knew if I was going to have to move, I was going to come to the big island of Hawaii. And much of the way this lifestyle was a lateral move, except for the weather. I mean, I live exactly the same way that I did at 8,300 feet in the Rockies. So, and you know, it's 100% off grid there as well. But I don't have to deal with feet of snow and, you know, 30 below zero and, you know, all of the work that entails. And how did I actually get started on solar? I didn't know a thing about solar. When I decided when I dropped out of society, you know, from the city and went into the wilderness, I didn't know a thing about, I wasn't even thinking about power. I was just going to build a little cabin, sit there, read books by candlelight, which I did for a long time. And I thought that's all I was ever going to need or want. And I actually loved that lifestyle. I really did. Wasn't thinking about power at all. I was just thinking about staying warm, chopping wood, good wood stove. Um, but then a little solar shop I went by one time, and I went in, and that's when they were, it was rare to see anyone dealing in solar. I'm talking 30 years ago. And I went in and started talking to the guy, who was a great guy, and told him how I was living. And he said, just this one solar panel and one battery. He said, you might want to give it a try, and you can do, some things with it. And that's how I started. One 50-watt solar panel, which cost $250 used, and one deep cycle 12-volt lead acid battery. And I hooked that and one little teeny charge controller that was about $30 or something. And well, it's probably more than that. Everything was really expensive then, but whatever. One small 50-watt solar panel, one 12-volt lead acid battery, and one small charge controller. And that was it. I was hooked, and I've done nothing but just keep adding, whether I was up in the mountains or here. It's like, that was it. Because I was running lights. I was reading by light instead of candlelight. I had little 12-volt. I quickly went out and bought like a little 12-volt VCR and a little 12-volt TV, so I could, when I didn't want to read a book, I could watch a movie. So that was a game changer for me, and then I've been hooked ever since. So that's how that all came about. So I get to talking so much, and I miss a few of the comments here. Let's see where I'm at now. Yeah, I'll do that, G. I've got a ton of stories, and I really do like reliving those days. They were good days. I will, and I will, Shannon. I like the story time too. I like talking story and remembering how it was in the old days. Wow, I'm not even aware of those, G. I've never even Costco Rock Pals kit and Corolla. I've never heard of those. My first panel was a Siemens 50-watt, $250 used. Everything back then, solar was so outrageously expensive. And I'm not kidding. The very first small LED light I bought, and I just wanted one. The incandescents were rough on batteries, but the first, what was it? It gave the equivalent of about a 90-watt light bulb, and there was a big oval LED kind of a thing, fit in space like this. $90. $90. And now, but that was a long time ago. But now, you can buy a 6-pack of LEDs that draw 5 or 6 watts for, I don't know, $10. But solar was not cheap, so I added real slowly. By the time I left the mountains, I'm trying to think what I had. I had a trackable array, a manually tracker. I'd get out there and turn it and adjust it to whatever the angle of the sun was, because the sun moved a lot in Colorado, between seasons. Out here, it does move, but as close to the equator as I am, it doesn't move as drastically. So, I don't even really pay attention to I just point the panels upward here, and you're going to be okay. So it makes it easier on that too. Yeah, happy Easter to you too, John. Glad you joined us. It's been suggested to me to run a buck converter. I have not, and that's something that I don't know much about, but it has been suggested to me by several people over the past few years, quite a bit. And I will look into that. Yeah, 30 years ago. 30 years ago was very expensive. I mean, now what? Solar panels are dirt cheap, under $1 a watt, well under $1 a watt, probably on the mainland, and even out here, I mean, super, super cheap. But gosh, I'm trying to think. I think I paid for, I mean, 100-watt solar panel back then was, 500-600 bucks. So yeah, Ohio, got a car, got a truck, for making supply runs. I don't go out that often for supplies. I really don't. I mean, when I go in to town for a supply run, I stock up and pack up to where I wouldn't have to go out for months. But I do go out more often than that. I mean, I probably go out, uh, and then I go out and see some friends now and then too. But I probably average going out once every couple weeks as an average. But I can stay back here for a long time if need be. If I had to, I could stay back here pretty much indefinitely. Yeah, I just have to start hunting pigs, though. Yeah, I've watched Bob Wells too. I mean, I watched enough of his, and uh, and I thought about it, and I did. I've often thought about it because I used to, love to go out and camp and hike and fish, especially in Colorado, get out onto BLM land. And I never wanted to leave when I was up in those areas. But I did have a cabin in an extreme wilderness. So I was getting uh, satisfied just by where I lived with that, to where I wasn't really thinking about it back then. But now that that's a real thing, a lot of people, moving about, I can I can see the appeal. I don't think I'd do it at my age now, but like I said, I'm a homebody and I've got everything here pretty comfortable. So, do I have banana? I'm thinking banana. Yeah, yeah. There you go, John. I do have some bananas. They're not producing right now, and I need to trim them back. But I've got a few bananas trees growing out here. I've got lemon, orange, avocado. Uh, what else? Even got a coffee tree. Uh, yeah, the garden thing. Hey, to everybody out there in Louisiana, happy Easter, aloha. Just sitting here chatting with people around the world and having a great time. Luau, yeah, yeah. If I ever have to wrestle a pig out here, we'll do a luau. But they haven't been bothering me out here at all. Now, my neighbors down the road just the other night they caught a pig that was in there tearing their place up. I forget how big they said it was, but they had to get him out of there. Sadly, Chad, the Radio Shack isn't doing much. I do have a couple little radios up in the bungalow right now, but uh, I've just been really wanting to get I really always wanted to do be a ham station out here. I listened to them some, and I've talked to them a couple of times. but I think that'd be great out here. I think it'd work pretty good. I think I got pretty good capability of running an antenna out here and being able to talk around the world. What do we got in here? It says 41 people. That's pretty good. I think that might be the most we've ever seen in here. That's pretty good. Some of you are just lurking. Yeah, I imagine that they would. Some of those active antennas probably would take some juice. Well, I mean, I guess that depends, Ohio. I mean, yeah, a young guy or gal could do what I've done easily. And land prices, it depends on location. I mean, the closer you get to the water, the land prices go up, of course. But and the further in general that you get away from the water, the prices go down. And then sometimes uh, accessibility. Some of these areas are, rough getting in and out of, even here, pretty rough. Just as far as bumping, I mean, lava roads, they're not smooth. You're going to feel every little bump in and out. But that is, kind of keeps a lot of the population out of areas like this are the roads. If it's super easy, accessible, paved roads in and out, prices are higher too. Yeah. But yeah, uh, you know, you could do it at any age out here. As the crow flies, probably right at about 8 miles from the water here, straight line. By the road, it takes, about 10 miles of road work to get down to the water's edge. So if the wind conditions are just right here, I mean, it's quiet enough here, and if the everything is just right, and there's some big waves crashing, you can actually occasionally smell them and hear them from here. Not very often though, but it has to be just perfect conditions, and you can hear the waves that far away. It's only happened a few times since I've been here, but yeah, about 8 miles from the water as the crow flies. But yeah, there is still some fairly affordable land. You get into places where there's more acreage available, then of course that goes up. But well, I adjusted to this climate like immediately. Gee, I mean immediately. I love it. It works for me because it's not too hot. Because down along sea level, a few miles away from here, it's a little too warm for me. Now right on the ocean, it's usually pretty nice because of the sea breeze. It's always blowing down there, and that's very comfortable. And then just slightly inland, like down in Hilo, for example, Hilo feels too hot to me, and that's not very far away. Again, as the crow flies, we're only talking about 12 to 15 miles probably, but it's too hot down there. But then, because it's an island, everything goes uphill a little bit from there. And I'm at about 1,200 feet here, and it's the most temperate climate I've ever experienced anywhere in my life. It's perfect. I don't need heating. I don't need air conditioning. And I love the temperature. I mean, it gets down into the 60s and I feel a little chilly, but you know, that's just because I'm acclimated to this area. So yeah, it did not take me long to adjust to this at all. Hey, Errol, welcome. Watching from St. Vincent in the Grenadines in the Caribbean. Nice. I'll bet it's pretty nice out there. You know, in Colorado, I thought real heavily, Tom, about doing a wind generator as well. I could have made pretty good use of a wind generator there because I got a lot of wind. It wasn't really good sustained wind. It was really kind of choppy due to the where I was at on a kind of a real upslope. And out here, no, it's not really a consideration here. I'm surrounded by really tall trees. The trade winds are blowing pretty much constantly, but I'd have to stick a tower so high in the sky, it wouldn't be cost effective. It'd be just much easier and much cheaper for me if I need to boost up power, just throw some more solar panels. I'm just in a really poor condition for wind. The wind that would be catchable and that nice sustained wind to, get a windmill working good. I'd have to erect a very, very tall tower, and that would just be super expensive. Yeah, I would try an e-bike, and someone was supposed to send me one for a review a couple of months ago, and they balked at sending it to Hawaii. Yeah, it was a really cool looking e-bike, and I was all excited. I'm like, send that baby out here. I'll give that baby a test ride for sure. And then they're like, oh, Hawaii, that's a long way away. I thought it was coming though. They told me it was coming till they got my address. Yeah, and that's true, James. I mean, being very close to the ocean is a salt issue. Those people that live like right on the shore, I mean, I just look at what's going on with their homes and in their cars, and it's like, yeah, it's a constant corrosion thing that they're dealing with being that close. So I'm glad that I don't have to deal with that. I don't want to be that close to the ocean. Hello, Peter. Glad you're in here. And Peter's asking, do I have any experience putting different types of lithium batteries together? Uh, the only thing that I have so far, and I've thought about this so many times, the only ones that I have tied together have been, like my chins, where they're both the exact same battery. I know of other people that are tying up different makes and models and things like that, and they're doing just fine. And I've thought about doing that just for experimenting, so I could show you guys, because I get asked that question quite a bit as well. So I I'm curious about that. Now of course the manufacturers are all like, oh, never tie in anything but our exact same things. But I understand where they're coming from. But I mean, you got two 100 amp hour batteries, different manufacturers. I don't think there's really a problem. I have not tried that, but I'm going to. I am, because I am curious and I want to do it. And I got a few extras out here I can play around with, so I'm going to do that. Aloha, Peter, up there in Denmark. Wow, what kind of solar are you catching up there in Denmark? Yeah, he's the one asking about, whether hooking up a lead time and a Redodo, and again on the, I could tie them together. In fact, I was going to do that on that one battery bank where I've got two 100 amps. In the last few videos, I've been up in the bungalow showing you guys that blue wall that I've been making, and I had those two batteries in parallel. And I thought about go ahead and putting them in series and making a 24-volt system as well. But I don't have a ton of 24-volt stuff. I have one 24-volt system right now, and that's that Time USB, and I've got a 24-volt inverter and all the stuff that I need for that. And I'm using that as strictly as a backup right now in case my other systems that I'm running go down. That one's sitting there ready to go at a moment's notice, and it's just been sitting there full for months. But I am going to play around with different voltages a lot more than I have in the past few years because I've got a lot to learn on that. Oh, the least sun up there in Denmark in 15 years in March. Wow. No, gee, I don't have any discount codes with Victron. They've never sent me out. Now, everyone that sends me stuff out for reviews typically gives a discount code for their products at the launch of a video when I publicize or publish a video. They usually on their, when they send a battery out to me for review, they're usually running some kind of a campaign right then. That's why they send a specific battery out. They're running a campaign, and you go to their website and you see it's on sale, and then there's usually a discount code that if you use the discount code I supply you on the channel. But that's usually during a campaign. Now, I've never seen anyone do that. Tom put a lead acid and lithium together. I'd be scared to do that too. And I don't even have a lead acid out here. Well, I do have a couple lead acids. I've got a couple old Trojans that are still cranking away. They're the last lead acid I hope I ever have to touch. And those, as far as lead acid, were kind of like the Cadillac of lead acid. I lived on Trojans for many, many years in the mountains, and I loved them. And they were top of the line back then. But oh my goodness, they're very, very heavy. And I hope I never have to move one again. I have to hire someone to haul these away from me because they're backbreakers. I'd be afraid I would never try putting a lead acid and a lithium together. No way. Yeah, I would think that's there's no way I'd do that. But there's people out there doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But I treat these lithium iron phosphates like babies. I'm like, I love them all, and they're all working so good. I don't want to do anything to, compromise their integrity, and because they're great batteries. Yeah, that's right. Spicy pillows. Lithium prices are really good now, Tom. They're really good. They just keep coming down, and I hope we haven't seen the bottom yet. I hope they just keep getting even, and the market is just getting saturated. I can't even keep up with how many brands are out there. And like I said, I mean, hardly a week goes by I don't get an offer or two of like, saying, hey, we are a new company, and we'd like a review on your channel. And just constant, tons of them, and they're, the price is going down. Thanks, James. Aloha. Happy Easter to you too. Thanks for popping in. That would be cool. I'd like to see him drop below $100. That would be great. Heck, I had to go buy a battery for my truck the other day, and that it died, and that was $200, and it wasn't lithium. So, yeah, what I want to start seeing is lithium that we could just drop into our vehicles. Most of the copper stranded cables I have been using out here, they are available out here, but I pretty much get everything off of Amazon of that nature. It saves me money. There are some places here, some marine companies, and you can buy some, bulk copper out here, but it's a little spendy out here. No, you don't. I mean, I'm glad you said that. Height Cribel, if I'm saying that right. And I'm glad that you see that. You don't need the $30,000 system to make solar work for you. You don't have to spend that kind of money. Aloha, John, up there in Denmark as well. We got 2 from Denmark. Happy Easter to you. I never did find out what that problem was with that EcoFlow. I thought about trying to mess with it again, and I think I will at some point, but I never did find out what happened with that. Hey, Margarita. Yeah, been getting plenty of rain out here. Plenty of rain. All water systems are overflowing, and water security is in good shape right now. Really good. So yeah, I was crying about water a while back, but everything's just overflowing. Just couldn't be better. Solar's overflowing, water's overflowing. That's really good. All right, you guys, this has been fun. It's been a while since I did a live chat, and it's always so much fun. Hope they don't bring in a tax on solar. Yeah. Hey, solar's so cheap now. I mean, everyone should be doing a little solar. Yeah, but once you start with a little, you're going to want more, guaranteed. But I guess I'll wrap this up, you guys. It's been great for you. I'm grateful you all came in and spent some time out here in the jungle with me. Good to see a lot of you and hear what's going on all over the world. We'll do it again for sure. Good times. Hey, Jeff, same to you, brother. Puerto Rico. Javier, nice. Thank you all for everything, Ohio. Thanks, USL. Thank all of you. I really enjoy you guys so much. I read every one of your comments. Sometimes I'm a little slow getting back to you all, but I do try to hit you guys back. I really having a lot of fun with all of you, and you all help me a lot. So I'm glad that sometimes you get something useful out of the videos as well. It's just good times. Yeah. Thank you, Shannon. Thanks for everybody tuning in. All right. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in another video here pretty quick, and we'll do one of these chats again, everybody. Aloha. Thanks again. Good times. Yeah, I did announce the chat. I'm not real proficient navigating some of the stuff on here, but it looked like I got the notification out there, and it looks like it worked pretty well. So great to see all of you, and thanks again. And we'll be talking live again soon sometime. All right, I'm gonna go find a project to do, maybe make a video. Aloha, everybody. Thank you so much. All right. Now, how do I end it?